from the Uni Network headquarters for October 18th, Sunday, 2015. And hopefully we'll have a good session here. I mean, it's certainly possible that it's just me and you, but we'll just go through everything with me and you if we need to. Zilu is on the phone as well. So the main thing that you're going to want to do for that particular, so yeah, right now we're connecting the calls here. But the main thing you're going to want to do for that particular connection is to make sure that you do the recording.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you're just going to want to leave the recording on for the whole session. Or were you able to log in?
I'm going through that. Too many windows open.
So I'm just posting the pad up in the Facebook group so people have a link to the pad for this session.
I am able to log in. Right.
Perfect.
So it will be like conference open, recording on, conference log. What is the conference log, sir?
The what?
What is the conference log at the bottom? Live conference on, recording on, hold off. Conference log, what is the conference log?
Oh, the conference lock makes it so that nothing can be changed. Yeah, you don't need to worry about that. The only thing you want to do is the recording. Did you do the recording? Yeah, okay, so you got the recording going. So I'm going to go ahead and merge. I'm going to go ahead and merge the call. So just make sure you leave the recording on. Cool, so now I have the two calls merged. We can have up to like 6 or more calls all merged onto the same line. And then that allows us to, like, let's say we had, 30 people on a call, we would be able to instantaneously break up into 2 groups of 15 if both groups had called into separate numbers. So it's really helpful. But, so far it doesn't look like anyone's going to get on. So, we can go ahead and get started with just me and you. We have our recordings and our live broadcast going. And so, I was going to start facilitating, but we kind of can do like group facilitation since there's just the 2 of us. Oops. Oh, Benon, you're on. Yay. That's very exciting.
I thought you were talking about me because you said you merged the calls.
I did merge the calls, but I didn't know that you were actually on the call.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't realize you could do that. It's a great tool.
Oh, we've merged calls before. Remember the first, this is the very, very first meeting of the social entrepreneurs. We had to merge the calls. Remember that? Yeah.
I remember it breaking up into groups. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we can do that too. There are a lot of things that we can do. So it sounds like we have 3 of us, which is a great number. There is an agenda that I linked onto the Facebook group. I don't know how you got here, but the Facebook group has the link to the agenda. And I can also send it to you guys directly. I'll send this to you via Skype, Zilu. Cool. But yeah, so we have a pretty action-packed day, and it's very exciting, and we're live streaming this to the world, which is awesome. So that is also very, very exciting. And basically, the main thing here, that our main goal here is just to kind of get a handle on the Unity network, what's going on, how the sessions sort of are organized in the concept of the primary session and for Unity Day, which we would be scheduling for 2017. So are you guys ready to get started?
Sure.
Cool. So we'll do check. Oh, do you want me to send it to you, a direct link? I can email it to you if you'd like.
If you don't mind.
Of course. All right, let's see here. So this is the minutes. I'll send this to Ben. Your email is being broadcast on live television. Sorry about that. Cool. So, and also, Ben, there's also the live broadcast hangout where you can see my screen. And that's actually, there's two ways to see that. One is directly through the channel. So there's the live broadcast. And then you can also join the broadcast and actually be a direct member of it, so it's another way to join as opposed to joining through the call, So you actually have video access and everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. Are we recording them as well or not?
It's live broadcast, automatic recording to YouTube.
Great.
Yeah.
I can help with the distribution of the archive episodes if you can just keep managing the live session.
Yes, that will not be a problem. Cool. Excellent. All right, so let's jump into check-ins here. I'll start, and then we'll go to Zila, and then we'll do Monsieur Ben. I'm doing well. Oh, and I just want to mention, we're gonna do a how we're feeling. This is one of our things that we do for our decision making. It's 0 to 9. That's how we're doing today, as well as just, I don't know, kind of like your goals and vision for Unity Network and the such. So, take your time to check in. But, my name is Jay. I'm here in Northern California, and, I'm excited about this. There was a couple other people I told about who said that they would love to come, but that they were busy today. So, I feel like we could easily get the numbers up to 4 or 5, maybe even 6, in the near future. But really, it doesn't matter the number of people. It's all about, very, very slowly but surely building the network, because it's very difficult to do global organizing and communications. And that's really, for me, the main vision is like, how do you build this intercommunication of consciousness globally with people throughout the world to help solve the greatest problems of our society right now. So it's one step at a time, and going slow is, at the most minuscule of all nail spaces is perfectly fine for now. So I'm doing about I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good, maybe a 7.5 out of 10. I know actually it's out of 9. And we'll talk more about that later. So let's go to Zila. Do you want to check in? Tell us how you're feeling and your vision or goals.
You talking about me?
Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, so please remind me again.
Say again.
I was chatting with one of IT person that was only name, short name. She just you're talking with me and told chatting with me on Skype. So I was talking with him, so I was unable to listen to you. Yes, please remind me again.
Ziva, can you hear me? Ziva?
Nice. This is Ben Miller, World Trade Ventures in Northern California as well. Doing pretty well, at least a 7 out of 10. Sunday, taking it easy. Had a fun day yesterday going to the farmers market festival.
Okay.
And so trying to, get a little relaxed so that we can have a productive week coming up. And for Unity Network. Glad that there's so much momentum, and I think that live broadcast and recording distribution is a major breakthrough. So that's really exciting to just stumble on that accidentally. And then the Human Union think tank, I reached out to the owner of the original domain, which is humanunion.org, and told him about what's going on with us. So we'll hear back from him soon. And if you could forward that email to Dinesh J, he would be able to see how much progress we've made on Human Union and understand what it's all about in relation to the Unity Network.
What do we need to forward again?
And, the big thing to report is that I changed the meetup location for October 29th, which is the kickoff meeting, to be a conference call. So I thought we could perhaps upgrade it. They were upgrading this call. It should be partner.
That's great.
Nice. That is very cool. Oh no, now I'm getting feedback. So, can you guys still hear me? Okay, cool. So basically, what we would want to do is say the date again for the Human Union so that I can write that in the notes. October 29th. Excellent. Okay.
It's going to be 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard.
Cool.
We have 10 RSVPs for the call now.
Very cool. I like the idea of the call.
Becky and Patrick and Devin from
Cool. So going back to Zelu.
Great for the Unity Network.
For sure. Going back to Zelu, what was your check-in between 0 and 9, or 1 and 9?
Okay.
How are you doing right now between 1 and 9? I mean, I know right now it's like, what, 2 in the morning or whatever?
Yeah. I can able to have an half an hour.
Sure. Yeah, we should be done in 45 minutes or less. But the question is how you're feeling, in general between 1 and 9, including how your tiredness and food, everything, the whole week.
Everything is going actually now fully clear to me, and the system is also pretty good. And what is Ben talking about, and that is also maybe good also. I observed about talking about what about the World Unity event section. That is also
Cool.
good.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about it for sure. But again, I do need just like a 1 to 9, just like how you're feeling right now.
Okay.
Just
if you had to rate how you're feeling in this very moment from 1 to 9, Jay just wants you to choose a number.
Zelu?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so like Ben was saying, it's just choosing a number from 1 to 9. We've done it in the past, just like it's like how we're feeling for the day.
About half an hour is okay for me.
Yeah, so it'd be like for example, like a 6 or a 7 or an 8, like in terms of 1 to 9, like 9 being the highest.
About 5 or 6.
You're about a 5.5? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And how about you, Ben?
Say 6 out of 9.
A 6. Cool. So this is important in the context of our decision making. The fact that it's a primary session. So I'm just doing the just kind of teaching you guys how it all works, right? So overall, our group feeling would be a 6.33. And the reason why that's important is because based on the decisions that we make today, it's kind of like, one of the levels that gauges decisions. So if you have a group of 5 people who make a decision, but they're all feeling like crap, and it's like they've been having a conference call for 5 hours and everyone feels terrible, and they make a super important decision at the end of a 5-hour conference call, and like the feeling is like literally a 2 or 3. It's like that decision just is not as important as the decision if we're all feeling like 8s. Does that make sense for everyone?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So
You can also use it to track, to go back and see when people were feeling the best, and maybe they came up with some good ideas around that time.
Exactly. So so that's good. So the next step is just the methodology proposal, and there is a link there. This is a proposal that's going to be coming up over and over again. All the different groups and sessions and people who are involved in the Udemy network basically need to, one, understand, especially the main reason we're doing like an official vote on this is because it's a primary session. Primary sessions only happen once a year. We're also linked with the Atlantic session, which is really exciting, and that only happens like once every 4 years. So today is a good day. I can, get more questions. I can answer more about how the structure of the decision making works. But as far as the proposal itself, it's really just to approve the Unity methodology and all the related Unity policies, protocols, guidelines, systems, and processes. So that is basically the proposal. And it's really a setup, it's like without having that agreed upon and understanding about it, we, the rest of the way that, there's only 3 of us, but the rest of the way the systems for the Unity network flow together is not possible. So the way that our system works is that the first thing we do is just see if we have agreement from the get-go, and then we can go through it a little more detail, and we should be done in just a couple minutes. If there's more questions and things like that, we can ask them. But it's really cool to learn about the methodology and the policies and protocols of the Unity network, because it relates to all the different things that we're doing, and it's really cool because you can see how the interrelationship works, especially with like the human union and things like that that are interested in being part of the Unity network. So does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So the first question would be if there's any concerns with the proposal, or does everyone understand what the proposal is? And I'll repeat it here. It's to approve the Unity methodology, all related Unity policies, protocols, guidelines, systems, and processes. Does anyone not understand the proposal? So then the question would be, are there any concerns with the proposal?
I have to study on the methodology proposal first, and that if they record any question, then I will ask you, okay?
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely ask questions, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. But are there any concerns right now that you have? All right. Are there any objections to the proposal? Okay, so
I have to study on the proposal first, and
then
I will ask you.
Okay, cool. So we'll go through the official decision making right now, and then we'll check in. But there's wanting to review more, no major objections off the top. Major concerns off the top. Sweet. So now I'm gonna go over the basic decision making methodology and kind of gleam over all of the different policy procedures, and then we'll vote again. And that's just the the process that we do. So overall, the goal is to make the Unity network systems and processes as open, transparent, interactive, and empowering as possible. And so our structure is the nodular holographic hierarchy, and we have a multi-strategic global organizing model. The methodology is quite comprehensive as part of the comprehensive plan. Starting on page 36, there's, a half dozen guiding documents, if not more, including the Declaration of Interdependence. We have all different types of policies. Protocols are the highest level policies that are like legally official and essential and have to be done. You have the guidelines, which are optional. We have systems and processes, dozens and dozens of systems and processes. Systems are specific goals that need to be accomplished by multiple groups or multiple individuals. And processes are single set tasks that can be done in one session that can lead towards a goal, but don't necessarily directly accomplish a goal. And then the standing rules is the specific steps are taken within a session and how sessions are run. And then we have the structure, which I'm not going to go into detail unless you guys have questions on. But we have a multi-layered web model. And the easiest way to understand our structure is that it's global. So we have it's all about empowering local communities globally. And so I'm going to go into our official decision making here. And then we'll pretty much be done at this point, and we'll be good to go. See if you guys have questions. I think the next section here is just Q&A. Yes. So the decision making. The only reason I'm telling you guys this is because it's it's the official decision making protocol. So any node of the Unity network can use any kind of decision making at once. But if it wants to make an official decision that affects the entire network, it needs to be done in the official decision-making protocol. And obviously we can always change the official decision-making protocol, but there's a process for doing that. So our goal overall is to strive for 100% supportive consensus, okay? And I'll explain exactly what that is, and then we're gonna re-vote on this proposal based on the decision-making protocol that you guys didn't know before. And so we want supportive consensus in as many different sessions and organizational groups and nodes as possible for the highest level decisions. Our official voting, we use the scale from 0 to 9, like I was mentioning before. Only a 6 or higher is actually a yes vote. And so I'm going to explain those. There's 3 yes votes that you guys would want to understand. And you can also do decimals in your voting. But an 8 would be the highest level of vote and would stand for supportive consensus. So this means that you're happy yes. It means you actively and positively support the proposal. And so you're like, supportive of it. A 9 is only used to express congruency, which means that not only are you voting yes for proposal, you're voting yes for everybody else. If you have questions about that, let me know. But it's a little bit different than simply voting yes for yourself. The 7 is a willing consensus. This is a typical yes vote. It means that you're willing to go along with the proposal, but you may still have concerns or questions or whatever. But that's like your typical yes vote. And then the last one is the 6, and that's a positive abstention, meaning that you either don't have enough information but don't want to block, or that you might have some minor concerns or reasons to abstain. Cool. And a 5 is a neutral abstention. So are there any questions on the decision-making protocol? Do you guys understand it pretty well?
Pretty well.
Cool. Yeah, it's
voting for other people.
Oh, that's just congruency. So, the highest level is beyond consensus and supportive consensus. So to think about it, it's like it would be the idea of all stakeholders, right? So like in a sustainable model, it's like you're not voting for yourself. You're voting for all stakeholders, so that would include everything. So it's congruency between all different stakeholders, including the environment and all different types of peoples and cultures. So basically it externalizes the vote to the entire network, right? And so a vote that was voted by congruency would automatically be distributed throughout the network globally, as well as to external organizations outside of the network. Does that make sense? Yeah, basically you're stating this decision is not for ourselves, it's for everything in all eternity everywhere. I mean, it's a very, very high level. It rarely would ever happen. So it's really not part of our typical voting, but I just mentioned it in there so you know how it works.
It fits well with the philosophy of the human union, which is like,
of course,
why humans.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
humans are representatives of all stakeholders in the planet because the environment cannot represent itself.
Well, I don't know about the environment not being able to represent itself, but yes, the general concept is indeed that is the case. So, cool. So I think we have a basic understanding about the decision-making protocol. The only other things in this proposal is the governance structures. We have a very specific process of how we apply the laws of the world, which I'm not going to go through unless you guys have questions on it. And then the last thing is just the node. Basically, forming a Unity node would be approving these protocols, and this could be within a single agenda item. So any organization across the entire world. Say again.
I just read like 50 pages of the plan. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's just one part of it. That's just the methodology, right? The comprehensive plan is the methodology in the page 36 onward, right? And so what I'm talking about is the forming of a node. The forming of a node is based on, basically approving these protocols for as little as a single individual agenda item with an organization. So you can have an organization that's totally separate, and you can approve these protocols in decision-making systems for a single agenda item to discuss a single issue, and that becomes a node of the Unity network, in essence, like an external node. Does that make sense?
As soon as they approve it, methodology, accept it.
Yeah, as long as the entire agenda and the decision making is done under the methodology and protocols of the Unity network, it's basically an external direct node of the Unity network. Does that make sense? So anybody anywhere in the world in any organization can create a node that connects to the Unity network simply by following our methodology and protocols. Sweet. All right. So I think we're on the same page on this. So like the next thing would be if there's other questions for the proposal or about what the proposal is. And then we would go ahead and see if there's any concerns. And then we can go ahead and see if there's any objections. So that's exciting. There's no objections. And then we can see if we have supportive consensus. So there's two ways of doing supportive consensus. One is simply that you just ask everybody if they are 8 or higher, right? But since there's only 3 of us, we can just go through. I'm just gonna say that I would be an 8 or an 8. Yeah, I would say just an 8 out of the 9. I think there's still work to be done to make it better. But Zilu, do you want to vote between 0 and 9?
Yeah. Then I will choose 5.
A 5 would be an abstention on the proposal.
Okay.
So you're basically saying that you'd want to know more information? So a yes vote would be a 6 and above?
6.
You'd be a 6? Yeah, so that'd be like willing to go along with it. Is there any things that would improve the proposal for you to get you up to a 7?
I'll check it out, but you put it down 6.
Cool. So mainly you just want to learn more about it and have more information, which is perfectly understandable.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, it's a lot, so I'm not expecting, more. And how about you, Ben?
Well, I feel like I could give it a 6 too, and while it takes 6 to 7 or higher would be including the new node in the process of accepting the methodology so that they don't feel that they're just being managed by somebody else's ideology. So to make them feel included would be a way to take other stakeholders into account better.
Yeah, well, I mean, the node is part of the proposal. It's just at the very bottom. You know, form an external node to approve happens through approving these protocols.
But the protocols themselves, they might want to have input on them.
Yes, and what's so cool about a Unity node and our whole Unity structure is that we're a nodular structure, right? So we're a nodular holographic hierarchy structure. And so any node, and this is what's so cool, has the full power of the entire network. So anyone creates a node, they can propose anything, and then they could become basically any node has the full power and reflection like a hologram of every single other node in the network. And so by being a node and by actually making decisions in the decision-making protocol that currently exists, you can propose changes directly. And if you follow the official protocol, it automatically is taken to wherever it would need to go in the rest of the network, and would be looked at equally as every other proposal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's very empowering. Like creating a node for yourself and your own organization is very empowering because it gives you full power over and within the entire network, right? So every node has equal, in essence, power from every other node. Yes. Yeah. Did I get you to a 6.5?
Sure.
Cool. All right, awesome. All right, so at least we have consensus. You know, we have willing, wait, is it willing consensus? I think it's a positive abstention. So we're, you know, moving forward, but there's still some work to do. Let me double check that. So yeah, so a 7 would be consensus, right? So right now we have 2 positive abstentions and 1 congruency. But I certainly understand that. But overall, it's at least we have something to work with for today. If we have other major proposals or something that comes up, we can still use the methodology, you know, because it's technically a yes, but we obviously need to talk about it more.
Or just get another node in here, and then we'll have more people to vote and bring the number to a higher place with more meaningful consensus than just 3 people agreeing to something.
Yeah, and 3 people agreeing something is more than just 1 or 2, so it's still exciting. But either way, we'll talk about the next meeting. The next time that it would come up in the primary session will be a year from now. So, what?
That's a long time.
I know, but it's not a big deal. We still have agreement on this to a certain extent, you know, because we did technically cast yes votes. No one blocked it. But either way, it's it still doesn't matter. It's everything is still perfectly fine, and like, you know, there's the founders circle and everything. The whole methodology works perfectly well. So we're ready to move on. The key was just making sure people understood that the methodology and the systems existed, so that we're existing within a framework as opposed to just doing something totally separate. So for example, if you have a group of people on a conference call, like even the primary call, and people block and say no to the Unity Network methodology and principles, that actual session would no longer be stemming from the Unity Network. Does that make sense? And so you would be creating a separate network and a separate strategic system, which would go a higher level into like the community network and the strategy coalition. Does that make sense to everyone? Because but basically what you're doing is you're, through approving the Unity methodology, you're approving the strategic systems of Unity, right? And the models that we've created. So if people on any call don't approve that, then we can continue with the session. The session can move on. It just wouldn't be part of the Unity network. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The human union will be a perfect time to test this out.
Yeah, and typically for something like the human union, yeah, so if the human union wanted to literally, you know, become part of the Unity network, it could, and that would be a first step. But typically you would just make it a single agenda item because it's kind of complicated and would make things messy to bring that up from the very, very beginning. But the key thing is that it's completely possible. Like if people wanted to do that, our methodology and systems make that possible. And that's one thing that's special that we do that other organizations obviously aren't doing. Cool. So I think we're on the same page here. It's very, very exciting to have a couple people sort of begin to understand that process, but it's a lot to go into. So now the next step is the Q&A. If there's any like questions and on any of the things that we talked about as far as the methodology, decision-making structure, anything, and then we'll go into some of the, oh wait, actually we could do the Q&A as a topic. So were there any questions just on what we just discussed or anything relating to the Unity Network, what it is? Obviously the two of you guys are pretty up to date, but Zilu, do you have any questions?
A question about involving people to know more, so that you are voting and the constituents there is 8, 1, and 6, and the ban is 6.5. So how does people to involve with this and how they vote this on this methodology? How they vote?
Ooh,
this,
great question. Great question. So how are other people involved? Okay, so one of the things that is part of our methodology system is that meetings, all sessions of the Unity Network, all meetings, everything, right? For live conference calls, right? So this is what we call live sessions, are simply one branch. Yeah, so these are the live conference calls, and at any time, this is what we call participatory democracy. It's 1/3 of our democratic, decision-making systems. And so the purpose that we have as the three of us is not to make decisions on behalf of the network, but simply to create proposals. So basically us having at least some sort of agreement for moving forward on this proposal, we can, anyone can always, directly submit a proposal through direct democracy to the network. But this means that we basically have one step above that, where we in a live session, or a real-time session, have approved something that then will go out to the masses as a full proposal to everybody else. And that's always the model that we use. First, the sessions create the proposals, and then they're broadcast and sent out to the rest of the world through the network. Does that make sense? Yeah, so all proposals are sent through the network for online voting. And the online voting systems are basically the direct democracy branch of the network. And the goal, the highest, I'm not going to say it's the highest, but the overall goal is to get as much support from as many people and as many different groups as possible for every decision that's being made. And so the highest level decisions are going to be a balance between representative direct democracy and participatory democracy. And so every single proposal is always sent out online. And the more important it is, and whether it's in a primary session, etc., it makes it a higher level of importance. Yeah, so there's we're a very different type of network from typical organizations. Vote on things yes and no, and it's either passes or doesn't pass. For us, it has nothing to do with that. The decision making is always about the level of support for a decision. The higher and more support a decision gets, the more important it becomes in the organization. But it's never just like a simple this passed or this didn't pass. It's more of like, what does the decision mean in relationship to all other decisions? Does that make sense? Yeah, so all decisions within the Unity network are relative to each other, where if you have all of our decisions are just barely passing, and then boom, you have some random proposal that someone makes and it passes by 9s and becomes congruency, suddenly all the other decisions that used to be really important no longer are important compared to the new proposal that has congruency across the entire network. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's all relative. But yeah, so we will be sending this proposal out to the masses, and we'll try to get as many people to vote on it as possible, but at least we have something to work with. So the most important thing that we could do here in this session is that making sure that the proposal itself is clear, simple, straightforward. There's obviously some things I feel like it could do to simplify it some, especially in the context of simplified Globish. So
it will be fine that way, it will be simplified.
Oh, you said that you want to change your vote to a 6.5? No. What did you say?
Talking about simplifying about the format, and so that it may make understand others people's globally.
Yes, it's just a first draft right now. And what's really cool is that anybody can directly edit it at any time. And the methodology protocols, everything have a lot of work to continue to make them perfected. So anyways, we only have about 15 minutes left here, so we should definitely move on. But I do want to write as a next step to getting more people involved is to create a simplified Globish version. This would be simplified English. Yeah. So that's one of the primary languages that we use. But right now, everything we're doing is in fluent English, fluent literal English. Cool. So any other questions from you?
Maybe complicate to another person, so American English. So it's recently, so if you use the European English, but England used.
Yeah, so that's covered in our methodology, but it's very simple. It's the highest level of voting in fluent English is still equal to all other cultures and all other types of English. So Globish, being the global simplified English, is a completely separate decision-making system. And here, I'll read it to you since this is important on the global level, to make sure you guys understand how decisions occur globally through different languages.
We can also make a forum, type of forum, so that they can vote in the just like structure, extra point 6 or point 7, and the proposals point 8. So like this kind of form we make, so it will be simplified more.
Yes, that's definitely possible. And basically, when people vote on proposals in different languages,
and we can send them a message only, texting others, and getting votes on our free conference calling system for the real-time session. But it will be more simplified if we can link as a forum. That is other section, dividing 3 or 4 sections. That is the structures one, and the proposals one, and the others one. 3 or 4 sections in a forum. So it will be we'll calculate it on that. So what have to change, proposals or structures or others?
Yes.
We can change that.
Yes. Definitely.
Also have a comment position must be there. So there also the comment there for that structures comment here. It will be good for them that, and the official decision making that will be good then that, and the others the same.
Definitely, yeah. So the key thing to remember here is that this proposal is like an overall everything proposal and consists of literally hundreds of individual proposals that make up each section and part of the methodology and protocols. Like each section of every single part of every single protocol is a proposal in and of itself. This is just simply the unified proposal of all of the methodologies so that we're able to very quickly and immediately function as a network within any node across the entire world. And the other thing I want to read here really quick is that all other languages and cultures of the world have their own branch of the Unity network. And although they must agree to a translated version, right, they have full independent decision-making based on unlimited versions of translations, including simple computer translations of all documents. So basically, any proposal from any language would be translated into all other languages, or at least like the top 5 or 6. And then that would become one version that the other language could vote on, but then they can have infinite different versions of that, and it can go back and forth. So again, the goal is, cultures and languages have their own independent decision-making and are equal to both fluent English as well as Globish. And then you have the liberal English as well as the conservative English. There's some differences between, down under English and the English cultures in Europe, in England as well. So I think we're on the same page here with everybody. And I think we're ready to move on. We only have about 15 minutes. And it would be really cool to talk just like for a few minutes about the World Unity Day and the event coming up. So maybe we could do that for a minute, and then we can go into wrap up and checkouts. But before we do that, Ben, did you have any other question that you wanted to ask?
Nope, I'm pretty on board, and I feel like I understand.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of boring, like sitting here talking about protocols for like, you know, whatever, a half an hour. But that's really what the Unity Network is all about. I mean, we're all about, you know, creating systems and processes and then staffing those systems and processes. And the actual people on the calls, like the people who are working and being the staff are actually not the decision makers. It's the entire people of the world that are the real decision makers who are carrying out the work. We're just here to listen to them. So so it's good to spend a little time understanding that, and this is perfect for the primary session, so that in future sessions we don't need to worry about it as much. So let's jump into the primary thing that the primary session is for. So the primary session lines up with the annual primary annual event of the Unity Network, which is Unity Day. So, you know, typically we don't talk much about Unity Day, but on you know, Saturday sessions and weekly sessions, we are organizing for planning for the Unity Day. So there's two things here. One is the scheduling vote, which you can see below. The scheduling vote is oh, this is for doing Globish. Oh no, the scheduling vote needs to be copied. They're scheduling it. So the scheduling vote is the annual Unity Day link, so you can actually vote on scheduling the annual Unity Day. Currently, it's scheduled for the third Saturday in October, right? So from there, I also have the link for the poster, which we can broadcast out here. And so basically, you have, you know, everyone across the earth is invited for Unity Day. Our goal is to fundraise $10,000. So the goal is to fundraise $10,000. You know, currently we have about, I don't know, 6,000. And so when we hit the 10,000 mark, that allows us to initiate the Unity Day. But since we're not there this year, we need to actually have the resources and have the planning in place to be able to do a full 1 year of planning to make sure that the Unity Day is correct. So the third Saturday of October of 2016, if we can raise the $10,000 and come to consensus on launching Unity Day, would be the day that we do a massive global, you know, basically press conference and launch across the entire world, telling the world that Saturday, October 21st, 2017 will be the first annual Unity Day. And other names: Democracy Day, Interdependence Day, Community Day, People Power Day, Take to the Streets Day. I mean, there's a million different names for it. But the idea is just like full unity, telling the people of the world that to unite, to support all people's rights, to support you know, coming together of all social movements and the such. And so the idea is that, you know, it could start really small, but over time, the goal is eventually to get the Unity Day to a level where, you know, we're really big, like Earth Day or some other massive like Pride or whatever, you know? And it could take 20, 30 years.
You put it on a crowdfunding campaign, Unity Day and Unity Flag. And in my opinion, the Unity Flag are the key to Unity Day.
Yeah, that's true.
When it comes to crowdfunding, you can sell a lot of flags and t-shirts and mugs and bumper stickers. That flag is going to go viral, and everyone's going to want one if we do it right.
Exactly. Yeah, and we can fundraise with the flag for Unity Day. But yeah, I mean, just fundraising the Unity flag is fine as well. Like, people don't even need to know about Unity Day, but the purpose of the Unity flag is direct. Everything in the Unity network that we do, all the systems, all the procedures, it all aligns with the annual Unity Day event. And so the Unity flag is voted on. If we do October, for example, it's voted on and then finalized for like about 2 months. So for October, September, it would be August. So August would be when you finalize the actual Unity flag, like the voting. because it's fully interactive. And then in September, you print them. Or actually, in August, you finalize them, you send them out for printing, you get them to send them out to all the people in September, and then in October is when you use them for Unity Day. Does that make sense?
So next year.
Yeah, I mean, the goal would be to find, like, we currently only have drafts of the Unity flag, and I'll just show really quick like how you can vote. So if you go to unityflag.net, you have the flag prioritization vote, and you can vote for all the different symbols and help create the flag. And you can also order flags. People can order flags, and you can also go to the Unity store to order flags. But generally speaking, it's still draft, and we can customize flags as well. I just talked to someone a couple days ago from an old, like, the World Unity flag. It's I think it's worldunityflag.net. They wanted to add their picture in, which is really cool. And there's, yes, it's totally, yeah. And theirs has been around for like, since 1996. So we're going to add that in. But the problem with their flag is that it is, all the images we use in the Unity flag are public source images, and hers is privately owned. So we have to get permission to be able to use it first. But what were you saying?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, that it's like the Quilt project that raised, I think it was a lot of funding for HIV research, and everybody is a part of it. They can stick their story into the quilt, and the viral mechanisms like that can kind of get as close as you can to guaranteeing that there will be a viral distribution. Anything that's like everyone's a part of it, and everyone's gonna want to take a selfie with the Unity flag, hopefully.
Exactly. Ooh, I love that idea. Selfie with the Unity flag, dude. That's part of our selling point, right? Selfie with the Unity flag. Cool. So obviously we could talk about the Unity flag for days. Let's put that in next steps, that we want to discuss more on the Unity flag, because the Unity Day, it's sort of, you can't do much until we really get the fundraising for it. So we might want to focus on the Unity flag fundraising and crowd fundraising.
Yeah, we need time to get brand recognition.
Exactly.
For Unity Day.
Yeah, and well, that's part of one of the reasons why Unity Day is scheduled for 2017. There's no hurry at all to push Unity Day. So I'm just showing how to vote for the Unity Day scheduling form, because like we can always change the schedule of Unity Day. Anyone can vote from anywhere in the world. We can always do a piggyback on other events. I think we should just do our own event. But if we submit this, the question is, can you see the previous responses? Yes. So here are the current responses. Everybody seems to be in agreement that we want to do have a full year notice. So again, we need to have full consensus to launch the Unity Day 1 year in advance. If we don't have that, it's a problem. We also seem to have consensus to do it in the fall. That fall is kind of like the harvest, it's the initiation, so it's the beginning of the year for the academic year, etc. October, people seem to like the idea of doing it October as opposed to September or November, because it sort of like gives a month for the school year to start and getting students involved. There's a complete tie between the second week of October and the third week of October. So that is a very interesting thing. We could talk about and see if we could have a proposal on doing the second week or the third week. And then everybody's in agreement that the Saturday is a really good day because you just have more people who can be involved. The people are busy and working during the week. So, and then there is a little bit of interest in potentially piggybacking it on an existing event, but there's definitely agreement to that we should just do our own event. So do you guys have any thoughts on doing it either the second week of October or the third week of October? So an example would be like, if you look at October, the second week would be more like the, as early as the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, maybe as late as the 15th. And the third week is more like, the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Well, either the second or the third week, both would be before Halloween.
Yeah, but the third week is everyone has a pre-party.
Oh, wow, that's interesting thought. So if we did it on the if we scheduled for the second week, we can avoid Halloween parties. I like that a lot. All right, so the proposal is for the second week in October. Are there any concerns with the proposal? Are there any objections? So you have consensus on that. How I would vote an 8. Are there any objections to a 7? How about a 7? Are there any objections to like a supportive consensus on that, like a 7, like willing to go along with it? That sound good for you, Zilu?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we have at least a 7, at least a 7 of 9. Cool. That's pretty exciting. Good work, Ben. All right. So are you guys ready to move on? And we might as well look it up. So October 2017 would be the 14th of October. So October 14th, 2017 would be the Unity Day. First annual Unity Day. I like that, October 14th. Sounds good. So I'll update the flyer. All right, let's see what's next to talk about is wrap up. I think we're ready to wrap up. Does anyone have any other things they wanted to go over before we start wrapping up? So the only next step I had was the Unity flag fundraising as another topic. Are there any other questions about or are there other ideas for next steps that we should do? There's the Human Union.
To share the Human Union information with everyone in the Unity network to see if they want to be a part of that phone call. And then for crowdfunding, I would like to know if you are open to having the social entrepreneurs approach where you incentivize support with a certain percentage of the campaign to be distributed for the helper, for the supporters.
Of course, yeah, that'll come up in the crowd fundraising call directly, so there's no problem with that. Obviously, we're open to 10% or whatever.
Nice. When is that call is that gonna be on the social entrepreneurs call, or do you have a call scheduled in Unity Network to talk about it?
No, it's just it's a social entrepreneurs, so we'll just see where it goes. But we have a general call, and it's not scheduled, but everybody voted, and they kind of voted to do it. But anyways, it's a separate thing. We'll put it on next steps to make sure it gets done for that. But crowd fundraising.
And talking to designers about prizes, like I went to this festival yesterday, and they're selling screen printed t-shirts that are beautiful, and they only cost $10 retail. So if we had heard these amazing designs, it should probably charge us less than like $5 a shirt at the maximum.
Nice, yeah, and people can definitely order off already off of the Unity store that we're building now. So like we'll take orders and make people shirts using our current draft logos and flags, Yeah, and then we can also do it as part of the crowd fundraising. So it's super, super doable.
It's great to have product.
Yeah. So any other next steps? Any other next steps? Okay. So I think that we're good. The only other thing to do before checking out is kind of going over all the next meetings. So at the bottom here, I'm going to put the very large list of next meetings because they are all, we have so many different things that are synchronized today with the primary session and the triad and everything that there's just a lot of different options to choose from. The first thing I'm going to cover is the triad meetings. The reason why triad meetings are important for the Atlantic triad specifically is because it's at the same time, which is just good to note, since it's easy to meet at the same time. So the triad meetings are, the Atlantic triad is the next Saturday session, which actually is on February 22nd, right? So Atlantic triads. So the next Saturday Atlantic triad session, so that means it's on a Saturday sesh, which is like today. It's synchronized with the 12 noon UTC Saturday. This is the one closest to it. Is February 22nd. It's a full moon. The other ones are Wednesday, November 11th is Wednesday. It's also an Atlantic. It's a midweek session. And that's also the next regular triad session as well. And then there's also the secondary session, which is the halfway point of the year, is April 18th. And that's interesting that it's also Atlantic triad. So these are all at the same time about. Not sure what day of the week that is. So those are all the Atlantic triads. From there, the next week Saturday session is October 25th. So, in Asia, it's basically not very applicable to here. There's also a Pacific triad. That's the next Saturday triad session, which is November 15th. From there, the next primary planetary session is on the 20th of November, and that's the Mars aphelion session. And that is, I believe, going to be an America session, so we'll be awake during that here in America, but probably not Zulu. Then we have the Earth ellipse is the next primary planetary triad session, and that is going to be a Pacific triad, so that's in the evening here, Ben, and that's for the Earth ellipse. And then we have some smaller moon sessions that are just happening real soon. So we have a lot of options of when to continue this discussion, but what works best for you, Ben, of all these different times?
Anything that far ahead is pretty easy to plan for. So.
Cool. Well, this is our upcoming schedule for everything relating to the primary session. Obviously, none of these are as important as a primary session, but the most important one coming up is probably the Mars aphelion, and that is November 20th. But all you got to do really is get on the Unity Network. There's a Unity Network meetings stream on Facebook and Twitter that you can do. And there's also the Unity Network, what do you call it? The Unity Network global link. So it's just like Unity Net. You can get on all the Unity Net streams, so those should be fine too to get information. Cool. So anyways, I think it's good to go over all the meetings so people know when they can log back in. And it's just the typical global calls. So I'll put that on the list too so people can see it if they watch the video. Global calls. All right, any other questions on our scheduling? So I think we're ready to check out. Oh, did you have a question, or you can go first to check out as well, Zilu? Yeah, just say how the meeting went for you, and anything else that you plan on doing. Zilu? Yeah, just say how just check out, just say how the meeting went for you, and anything else you plan on doing for today or tomorrow. Are we checking in tomorrow for the Atlantic triad?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, Ben, would you like to check out?
Sure. Great talking again, and good to see solid next steps, and closer to manifesting the vision, which you guys have fine-tuned into 70 pages of business plans, and you probably put it all together be as long as this book. So you're very well prepared. So good job, and look forward to seeing how the crowdfunding goes.
Awesome, thank you.
Working.
Yeah, the methodology and the comprehensive plan is really just one component of it. You know, it's like the more of the pretty book version. But yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of systems and processes and protocols. It's it could be anywhere from 500 to 1,000 pages. It's very, very detailed. So I mean, and I've been working on this for a decade. So I'm going to check out here too. We're about 10 minutes over time, so we're not doing too bad. But I did want to mention one other thing is that you know, me and Zila are working on launching the Unity hotline, which I just am really excited about. So hopefully we'll have that even more established. But at the bottom here, I put the link to the Unity hotline calendars. So you can go to this link anytime, and you can actually see the when the hotline is open. And this will be just like open hours that anybody across the world can basically call in and ask questions, get information, you know, connect into the Unity systems. And the hotline is just one of the main things we're working on right now and getting all set up. And the goal is to have it staffed 3 times a day for about, you know, 3 or 4 hours a day, and just get that going. So the hotline is going to be really cool for people to be able to interact with us on a personal way. And then from there, we'll be doing the sessions. And the hotline will be a daily thing, hopefully, once we get more staff and things like that. So yeah, I thought this went really well as a call. Like, if this is our first like full primary session, I hope people across the world who watch this video kind of you know, understand the basic principles of Unity, how everything works, how it interconnected, and are able to plug in as easily as possible. And you know, it is slow and coming together, and there are a lot of things that are still kind of stuck that we need more people to be involved to really be able to open it up more. But you know, over time, as more people do get involved, it'll be literally every person who gets involved, it becomes exponentially easier to get more people involved. So I'm excited. So good work, everybody.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Good staying up late over there.
Yeah, thanks, Zila. You are essential. Okay. See you guys later.
I'm going to off the recording and like the first, okay?
Okay, yeah. You can stop all the recordings and stuff. Yeah. I'm going to do the same.
Okay.
Your conference recording has stopped.
Bye.